D3CR, or the D3CR X as we now call it. I want to do a quick run through of the history and the features for you and all the accessories and what you can do with our Disruptive Environments chest rig line. Now, this rig is about 12 years old now from when it actually released and came out onto the market when I first started Haley Strategic. And the OG came from a unique requirement, mostly in low-vis operations, vehicle operations, direct action type operations. Now, a lot of people are still confused a little bit about chest rigs and what you can do with them and what they were originally designed for. If you said chest rig back in the day, let's say 15 years ago, or currently you're talking to a reconnaissance or surveillance, or what we call green side missions, or some of the guys that will carry heavier loads, our chest rigs typically carried up to about 50 pounds of stuff on our chest. So you might have, I always had 12 mags, I'd have all my GPSs, maps, air panels, all the administrative stuff that I need to work, my 9-line cards, I'd have 2 handgun mags at least on that, 2 Nalgene bottles or water bladders or hose systems, depending on what you had, 4 frags, smoke grenades, potentially flares, tools, you name it. It was a lot of stuff. That was a chest rig, and that particularly we call a recce chest rig or a heavy recce chest rig. But as things evolved and the conflicts changed and we needed to be lighter, faster on our feet, we needed to change to more of a smaller micro chest rig. Now, again, a lot of people would think micro is like our micro chest rig that we make, or the Preparedness micro fight, or like Faro has their dope, just to name a few that I really think are great out there on the market. And then Mayflower and Velocity back in the day, about 12, 15 years ago, started with this kind of micro concept to slap onto plate carriers. So that was the basic history in a nutshell. And I'll go into some of the features here that also might bring back some of the history as well. But the OG, if you haven't seen some of the older videos, the only thing really different between this and the new X is the old Stuff It pouch that we had on here. This was used for mission-specific stuff for certain teams that like this. You could put smoke grenades, water bottles, extra mags in here. And it was a great design, but the complaints about it over the years were actually starting to stack up to a point of bungees. Bungees catch on everything, and sometimes this stuff starts ripping off, especially when you get into the prone, and when you get into the field craft aspect, that's when that started failing off. So we decided, based on new requirements, let's go ahead and add 2 more multi-mission pouches. So I'll get into all the features of this thing so you can see where we are now with the D3CR X, and the X is for 10 years in case you're wondering. It's a 4-cell design, meaning that we can put 4 magazines back here. You can put 5.56 like you see I have in here right now. You can also take and put AK mags. So I've got a 7.62x39 Bakelite here. See, that fits in perfect. Got a 5.45 mag, same thing, and any NATO type mag. Even some of the bigger AK mags work. They do get a little tight if you got the really thick polymer one. So stick with I like a slender mag anyways for faster reloads. So that's the mags. Now, you could also put radios in here. You could put, we have a bungee retention, like a radio retention system in our accessories we'll show you in a little while, and that can hold your radio. Even some people have fit tasers in here. Depending on the model, some of them may not fit. Now that's because we don't have our inserts in here. And if you're familiar with our MP2 injection molded inserts, this was designed so when you put a magazine into it, you'll hear the index marks literally click into place. And the chest rig's designed with front and back pressure, so as it squeezes when you put the mag in or pull it out, it retains it nicely to where you don't even need the bungees on here. And the bungees come optional in a bag for you, in a kit, and you have all 8 bungees with our HSP rubberized pull tab, so it actually will stick really good to the magazine and your fingers can feel it. It sticks to gloves really well. So those are optional. You can tie them on if you want, like I've got most of them here. So I would take this off if I'm running the MP2s. We put them on there obviously for airborne requirements if guys have to have bungees on all their equipment before they jump out of a plane or do disruptive type stuff. The MP2 simply just slides right down inside, and then there's 2 little tabs that you can see on the top of the MP2 on the back that goes against your chest. That will lock underneath the little 1-inch webbing strap that goes across. And then when you put your bag in, you'll hear it click in. Okay. Then if you still want to run your bungees, you can, and you'll see how nice and sticky that is. And again, you slide them down. It'll be a little tight as I pull this out, but you can see take the bungees off if you don't want that much retention. On the front of the D3CR X, you're going to see 2 GP pouches. These are quick little Velcro flaps that you can put anything you want in here, from your medical kit, little bleeder kits, you can put survival kits, you can put compasses, you can put right in the rain, pens. You can take and put even 40 mic grenades in here if you want. So sometimes I've seen grenaders take 4 grenades and put them on the front, and then 4 grenades in here, and you can literally stuff 8 high explosive rounds on here. Law enforcement guys like to use these as well for the 37 and 40 millimeter less than lethal stuff, and especially if you have the longer, like the baton rounds, things like that, this will still close over the top with those rounds in there. On the front of the GP pouch, you'll see a little Velcro loop field, so you can put identifiers or patches or medical stuff on there if you want. Moving across the front, we have 4 multi-mission handgun, or GP pouches as we call them. You can see they also have the bungees on there, which I typically don't run. Again, just showing. There's some SIG mags. I've got multi-tool, flashlights, and again, if you want to take and put a 40 mic in there, it's an expandable pouch. So that way you could have, again, those 8 rounds across the front if you so chose to do that. Chest rig accessories. Now, all the accessories that I'm about to speak to are compatible with all of our chest rigs and placards that we have. So whether you're running a micro or the heavy like this or the X, or you're running our MOLLE placard or TRMP placard, both of those placards can also be turned into micro chest rigs. So the best way to do this, because there's a lot of stuff here, is to talk about where you would put them. Well, we know we put things on the bottom. Okay, we know we put things on the back, and we know we can put things on the side. So we're going to start with bottom first. Now, this is the OG hanger. Okay, the hanger, this is probably between 13 and 14 years old. This is the one that kind of started all the hanger movements. I was a big fanny pack guy. It's a big thing in my community, in the reconnaissance community. Put our survival, our radios, our medical kit in, especially if we're doing airborne jumps, we lose all our stuff. We still have something with us. And as we evolved, we wanted to keep that gear on us so we could just hang it underneath a plate carrier or a chest rig. So this OG hanger, if I was to put this on the back of all of our chest rigs, we have a panel. You pull off that Cordura panel, and if you want to continue to use it, you can. I'll talk about some of the stuff you can put on the back, like our back pads, here in a second. I'm going to take the hanger, I'm going to place it center on this one. You can also offset them left or right if you want, because there are some other smaller accessories you could put down there. And then there's your hanger now. And you can see the back is clean once I put that panel back on. Our next hanger is the 5-banger hanger. So you could probably tell why we call it that. Here is 5 rounds of HEDP for 40 millimeter, whether you're running them out of a M203 or a 320, or if you have some other 40 millimeter launcher. Law enforcement guys or less lethal teams in the military can also run baton rounds, rubber stingers, all that stuff. They will all fit in here, and you can extend this up or down. So same concept, slap it on. I'm going to put this a little bit higher. Slap your back panel back on, and there's your 5-banger hanger. This thing is, you can see, flush. When you start to load them, I can reach over and pop a round out, and you can see even being tight, it'll still pop out right into my hand, okay? I can also lower it if I need to. Our next hanger is the vertical MOLLE hanger. It's customizable. You can put whatever you want on there. I've seen guys put individual GP little pouches on here. I've seen frag pouches, so you could put 3 frags down here. You could put bigger general purpose, like a dump pouch that MOLLE's on, so that way you have a bigger like site exploitation bag, or like you like to put a lot of stuff on the front. Breachers can custom configure this. Even communications guys with hubs, you could tie in a hub with some 1-wrap Velcro and put your cable management on here. And also on the back, we've got this elastic sleeve for that cable management, or breachers, stuffing your shock cord or your no-nell. You can do whatever. You can also, I've seen guys take a magazine and put a single mag back here. So you could have another hidden mag behind your hanger. Stick it on, put your panel back on, or your back pad. There's your vertical MOLLE hanger. Our next hanger is a horizontal MOLLE hanger. This one's a little bit smaller than the vertical. You can see this being horizontal allows you to maybe put on a radio. You could put on another single rifle mag pouch. You could draw a magazine this way. You could take IS-lid, like a lot of the JTACs and military guys will put their IS-lid on here. Whatever you can fit horizontally in this configuration. Plus, it also has the elastic on the back, so you can use your cable management and retain all that stuff. So there is your horizontal MOLLE hanger. Last are our smaller hangers. So with a larger system like this, I'll go ahead and throw both of them on there. This is our TQS. Got our TQS hanger. See your Cat 7 tourniquet in there. Got trauma shears on the back. There's actually 2 channels on the back. You could put a Sharpie trauma shears, or if you wanted to put like a decompression needle in there, you certainly could. But that's got everything you need. So I can set that one on there. It also works on a belt as well. And then this is our dump pouch. Very simple, very lightweight dump pouch. Slap that on the back. Put your panel on. And there's your dump pouch and your tourniquet. If you need your dump pouch accessed, you get in here and pop that down. And you can see you have your dump pouch on your front. And then you can just stuff it back up and roll it back up when you're done. Okay, so that is a TQS and the dump pouch hanger. Okay, let's talk about the back now. So I'm going to go ahead and take my back panel off. And the first thing I would do if I bought a chest rig would be replace that panel with a breathable spacer mesh back pad. So now I got a lot more comfort, especially as we start to put more weight on. And we have a back pad for our X and heavy, so the quad cell, and we have a back pad for the micro. You can see the triple cell. And this also fits our TRMPs and our MOLLE chest rig. So micro, MOLLE, and TRMP for the small, D3CR X, and heavy for the large. Now, we have a wedge family I'm going to show you next. The wedges are what we put on the back. The first one, and one of the older ones, because again, if we go back to the history of the D3CR platform, it was designed as a small micro system that would work inside of vehicles mostly and in CQB. But if I was a vehicle guy, which I drove quite a bit, and being a lead driver, the primary weapon system is your car. But you always got to have your handguns on you, and it's hard to draw when you're always sitting in the driver's seat, especially if you're at a checkpoint or something. So a lot of guys would take and put that handgun wedge on the back so they could draw their handgun from right here and immediately extend the gun out the window, for example. Now this is going to take some ingenuity, I guess. We have an old holster that's in here that we just put Velcro around the side, and it kind of nicely goes over that. It may look like something difficult to wear, but once the chest rig starts to wrap nicely around your body with the straps on, it actually conforms pretty nice. And a lot of guys like putting their handguns there. But again, I would only put it there if that was my specific job that required me to put it there. The next wedge we have is the double mag wedge. So you can see I got 2 5.56 mags in here. Currently, we only make a 5.56 wedge. And you do the same thing. You'd place it on the back, and you could hike it up or hike it down. I hike them just a little bit higher, which if you look at the seams and you place the seams of the Velcro together on the back and you line them up right here across the top, that will place those mags about 3/4 or maybe almost an inch higher. And then when I put my back pad on, you can see I now have 6 magazines. And I can still get to those fairly easy even with the chest rig strap on. I took them off just so I could install these easy for you. The next wedge is an admin wedge. So the admin wedge, I'm going to go ahead and place in the center, right between the straps, line it up seam to seam. Take and put my back pad panel back on real quick. And now you can see easy access right behind your mags, even through your harnesses. You can get your right in the rain, your protractors, your maps, maybe some pens, whatever you need to put in there. Okay, so the admin sleeve is something you should probably never leave home without. And our last wedge is a little tiny wedge, and that's our trauma shear. Now this is the smaller trauma shear compared to the larger trauma shear, which I like to throw this shear on a hanger or something so I can actually have that stuck to the big Velcro field down below. And the smaller shears are really nice to have that fit on a wedge because it's hard to fit those big shears back there because they get in the way of mag reloads. So I even have the admin sleeve on here, and what I can do is I can put it on with the sleeve, put it in the center, So I've got my shears right there, kind of nice and tucked away, very efficient. I can also move it over to the far right side so it clears the straps. And you can see now I've got shears back here I can pull out and insert them back in. It has a mouth opening on it, so the shears go in and out very easily. And they retain very well. Okay, we've talked bottom, back, and now let's talk sides. Because let's say this just isn't enough space for all the gear that you need to carry, because sometimes you know we got to carry more. So what we did is we developed a side saddle system, which is a really simple, seamless pair of side saddles that literally pop right on the side. All you do is take your buckle off of the side of the D3CR chest rig or the placards. All of our buckles are repair buckles, which has a little slit in them, so you can pop them right off. I would then take and pop that buckle off and put it right on the side saddle, and all I just did was extend it. Okay, so let's say, and before I move on, if you have any questions on this, there's an entire video just on the side saddles themselves, which goes into all the details, all the installation, how the G-hooks work on the inside, and why it's constructed the way it is. So go ahead and check that. I'll put the link down below so you guys can hit that if you're interested in the side saddles. So I got my D3CR X chest rig here, and I'm going to go ahead and put my side saddles on because I want to carry my PVS 31s over on this side, and I want to put a MedMag mount with my trauma kit on the other side. And so here's what that looks like. All right, so there it is. Now I've put my wings on, I've got my trauma kit, I've got my PVS 31s and our GP saw pouch. You can also put saw nut sacks in it. And of course, I never leave home without my 40 mic, so I had to throw the 5-banger hanger on there. So yeah, as you can see, I've got a seamless mount on the back. There is 0 seams or buckles that are connected, so this will wrap fully around your body. And on the front, you can see there's 0 seams in here as well. The last harness system we're going to talk about is also a harness system, and that's our classic flat pack. If you guys are interested in knowing more about the flat pack, we've got an entire video on that, but the flat pack was designed to not only be just an EDC backpack, also mollies onto the back of a plate carrier. We have 2 different sizes, a small, this is the plus size, and also to be in a patrol configuration like this. So I've got my side saddles on, I've got my harness, which just comes with the flat pack. All you do is take your X or your H off, plug in your flat pack straps. You can see you got your sternum strap, camelback or cable management on there. And then in the flat pack comes with extra side straps. These are your 2 bottom straps that connect into the shoulder straps if you were to wear it like an everyday backpack. And then these 2 extra ones come with the flat pack so you can have double side support there. If you have any more questions on our disruptive environments chest rig lines or placard lines, or even the flat packs and other stuff that you've seen in this video, feel free to put your comments and questions down below. We'll do our best to get to them. And also you can hit our customer service at haleystrategic.com. And of course, you can always go to our website at haleystrategic.com and look at all the descriptions and specifications and the plethora of other pouches and options that we have that you can put on top of all this stuff. So guys, thank you for joining me today. Travis Haley, stay sharp, be safe, and die free.